All right, reproductive system. Last chapter for terms. We'll do male reproductive system first, and then female reproductive system. All right, males. So anytime they say primary sex characteristics, that's making sperm or egg, right? So anything in your body that needs to develop to make egg and sperm, that's primary. Secondary sex characteristics is survival. Once the egg and sperm has met. So for females, everything to carry the child. For males, everything to help make sure the family is successful. All right, let's go over the parts. So we'll start from where the sperm is made. So housed in the scrotum are the testes. So that's just the skin that carries the testes. Two testes. Right above, on top, epi, is the epididymis. So this area is where sperm is stored. And then you have a duct or vas. So this is just a vessel that carries the sperm. Now this is outside the body, and it has to go into the abdominal cavity. So this hole right here is called the inguinal canal. So only males will have this weak spot in their abdomen. It's going to wrap around the bladder, and then it's going to connect to the seminal vesicle, produce about 60% of the ejaculate, and then it'll pass through the prostate. That makes about 30% of the ejaculate. This gland right here, Cowper's gland, that produces about 5%, and then all the stuff that's within the vas deferens makes the other 5% of the ejaculate. And then out through the penis. So the penis has two erectile tissue called the corpus cavernosum, and then where the urethra is the corpus sponginosum. So this doesn't get erect as much as the other part. And then the head of the penis is the glands, and then the foreskin is the pubis. So this guy's anatomically correct. So in America, most of the boys are circumcised. In other countries, they're not circumcised. All right, andro. Andro means men. Androgen, right? Those are the male hormones. Blano for the glans penis, the head of the penis. And then the other ones are pretty easy. Epididymis, epididymo, and then orchi, orchio, orchid for testes. Prostate, scrotum, semino for semen. Sperm is pretty easy. Spermato. So sperm will have different names based on its stages of development. Just recognize that it's going to be a sperm for this class. So vas, generically, any vessel. Could be a blood vessel, vein, artery. In this case, the ductus deferens. Spermatogenesis. So this is the formation of sperm. So how many chromosomes in each of your cells? 46, right? So you get half from your mom, half from your dad, right? But before you can divide, so these are the stem cells. So for men, the stem cell divide, one of the stem cells hang around, stays a stem cell, and the other cells continue to split and become sperm. So throughout men's life, they can continue to make sperm. So in order to split, you first have to copy your DNA. So I have to have 92, right, before I split. So this guy right here has 92 chromosomes, but he split, right? Now there's 46 each. But they're in pairs. So that's why they say 23 chromosomes each with two chromatids. So there's actually 46. They're just connected together. Right? What happens next is the second division. Now you have 46 here and 46 here. They're going to divide again, and that number splits. So each of your sperm will end up with 23. For women, it's different. Every time there's a division, half of it dies off. And then for birth, all of your eggs are kind of suspended right here at this phase. So all the eggs at birth are all the eggs you'll ever have. You won't make any more. They only mature during ovulation. So one part dies off, and then you're just left with one viable egg from one stem cell, one egg stem cell. All right, male hormones. Just compare them with females. They do the exact same thing, analogous in the female body. So we have testosterone, producing the secondary male sex characteristics. So wider shoulders, more muscle, so they can hunt and fight off danger, survival of the family. Follicle is another word for egg. So this is going to stimulate egg production in women. So in men, it's going to stimulate sperm production. Luteinizing hormone, LH, it's going to go to the corpus luteum in women to produce or to stimulate progesterone. And then for male, luteinizing hormone will go to the interstitial cells, the in-between cells, and produce testosterone. So analogous depending if you're a male or female. What are progesterones? Male or female hormones? Male hormones. Estrogen, female hormones. Progesterone or male hormones in the female body. Right. So in the egg it goes to, or in the body, in the female body it goes to the corpus luteum. Progesterone is produced. In the male it goes to interstitial cells in the testes, produce testosterone. All right, some conditions. We have inflammation of the prostate, can be caused by infection or benign prostatic hypertrophy, so enlargement due to age. So 40 plus, 50 plus, it naturally enlarges because of hormonal changes. Physical examination, so this is the digital. The doctor will palpate the prostate through the rectum, feeling for texture, firmness, and size. So if it's enlarged and it's even, then that might be benign. But if one side is bigger than the other, usually the larger side is where the tumor is, or the cancer. Stages of cancer. Stage 1, localized. Stage 2, it's invading next door tissue. Stage 3, it's in your lymphatic system. And remember, your lymphatic system runs parallel to the cardiovascular system, so it can actually spread quite a far ways. Stage 4, the cancer is pretty much everywhere in the body, and it's almost difficult to recover from stage 4. Other conditions or abnormalities from birth. So crypt is hidden, orchid is testicle. So this is a condition of hidden testy or undescended testicle. So we all start off as little girls, right? So our gonads are inside our abdomen, and I don't know, about 4 weeks or so, 4 to 6 weeks, the body should detect male hormones, and then should start developing into a boy, right? So if you're a girl, you have X chromosome, right? You ever heard of Jamie Lee Curtis? So the rumor is she has XY chromosome, right? If you're a girl, you're going to start off as a girl. If you're a boy, you're going to start off as a girl as well. But for her body did not detect those male hormones, so you continue as a little girl. So the hormones didn't take. That's the rumor that she is genetic hermaphrodite. Androgen insensitivity. You're supposed to change when there's male hormones, but the body didn't, so you continue on as a little girl. Vasectomy, removing part of the vas deferens. They do this under conscious sedation. So you could be awake. They'll cut it and then they'll cauterize it to seal them off. Yeah. Heat electrocauterization. So that will stop the bleeding as well. Other treatments, well, removal of the prostate is no problem. Not too many hormones. It's just 30% of the ejaculate you'll be missing. So they can try to enlarge it like a stent in the heart, or they freeze it and remove it. All right, so that was the male reproductive system in a nutshell. So parallel that with the female reproductive system. So the males, most of the genitalia is outside the body, whereas the female, most of the genitalia is on the inside. So we'll talk about ovaries, uterus, fallopian tubes, uterine tubes, the cervix. Right, remember cervix is just fancy way of saying neck, the neck to the uterus, the vagina, and then the labias, majora and minora. And then the clitoris, analogous to the male penis. Gyneco, women. Gynecology, study of women, whereas obstetrics is during pregnancy. Most specialists will do both, OBGYN. Right. Most of the female genitalia on the inside. So we'll trace it from production of egg. So the egg will blister off the ovary, just like a pimple would, and it can actually just go out in the abdomen, in the abdominal cavity. But the fibrin ends, these finger-like projections, the fibrae, off of the uterine tube will help catch it. So they're not attached. You can actually remove it off the ovary. So then you'll enter into the uterine tube where there's hair that will sweep the egg towards the uterus. And fertilization usually occurs here, but we do not want implantation in the fallopian tubes. We want the embryo to implant here in the uterus where it's designed to get enlarged. Next, we have the fundus of the uterus, the dome portion, and then the body, and then the neck of the uterus is the cervix, the canal, vaginal canal leading to the cervix, and then you have your minora, your inner lips, the outer lips, majora, and then the clitoris is here, just like the male penis. It is attached to the bone, and it is erectile tissue, so it can engorge with blood as well. Here's the image, clitoris here, attached to the bone on both sides, just like the male penis. The urethra opening, and then the vaginal opening. All right, some terms. Amnion. So you're more familiar with amniotic fluid, the fluid that bathes the fetus. So that's the structure. Cervix, cervico. Another term for vagina, calpo. Galacto, anything with lac is milk. That describes the sugar. Hyster for uterus. Lacti or lacto, depending on combining form. Mass and mammo. So we use mammo for like mammogram. For mass, we usually use mastectomy. But for this class, you can use either or. I'll look at your responses manually. Men, short for menstruation or menses. Metro, that's uterus. So we have hyster, mentri. You guys are probably more familiar with endometriosis or endometrium, right? So that's the inner layer, endometrium. OO for ovy, follicle. Multiple words for egg and ovary, and they describe the egg on different stages of development, just like sperm, spermatid, spermat. Just recognize that it refers to egg. Don't worry about what stage it's in. Between the vaginal opening and the anus, we have the perineum, so around that area. Salpingo, so they're using that for uterine instead of, or sorry, using that for tube. So salpingo literally means tube instead of saying fallopian. Hormone cycle. So days 0 through 28 or so is the hormone cycle. At the beginning, you have high estrogen, and then it dips down. So those are your female. You're in your female. And then with progesterone, it picks up in the second half. So those are your male hormones. So that cycle happens all the time, and that's what they refer to as the menstrual cycle. So if you're using birth control, what we're doing is we are controlling the cycle. We're manipulating the levels of estrogen and progesterone to prevent pregnancy. Right? Birth control pills, those hormones, they work different ways, so you have to know what type you're on. So one way they work is to tricking you to thinking you're already pregnant. So if you're already preggo, can you get pregnant again? So your body's not going to ovulate. It'll be hard for you. So that's one way. So the side effect is, if your body thinks you're pregnant, what happens? You gain weight, right? So that's a big side effect. Another way it works is attachment. So it prevents a fertilized egg from attaching to the uterus. So it'll just be washed away. So depending on the hormones you have will determine how it works to prevent pregnancy. Other hormones, you don't ovulate at all. Some last for 3 months, 6 months, and then some you get a menses like once a year. Estrogen, sex characteristics. So it's going to control your primary sex characteristics. For example, in the breasts, remember the sweat glands with the signal of estrogen turns into, not milk glands, milk glands. Milk glands. So that's hormonal driven. Progesterone stimulates the milk duct. Once now you have milk glands. Prolactin hormone stimulates production of milk. Oxytocin, contraction, and also for bonding and breastfeeding. So if a mother hears a child crying, any child crying, a little oxytocin will be released, and then they'll leak some milk. It's all by reflex. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, of course stimulating the egg to develop. So in men, it stimulates the sperm to develop. HCH, this is what we are detecting for your birth control. It's human chorionic hormone, and that is developed as part of the placenta. So you won't get this developed until there's implantation. So it takes a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, for those levels to be high enough to be detected. We have them in the lab. When you do your urine analysis lab, we'll test those. Sometimes you get a surprise. Male and female condoms. I have to say, I've never seen a female condom. Have you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like it's a ring or like a bag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just depicted here. I don't think they're very popular. On diaphragms, they come in different sizes, so make sure that's fitted for you. So this is just a barrier device that prevents sperm from entering the uterus. You must use this with a spermicide. So this is not very popular because in the moment you're gonna have to excuse yourself and then apply it. Spermicides, they come in different forms. So there might be films, gels, suppositories. Some you have to put in, I don't know, 30 minutes before. I'm just making up these numbers. Some you have to put or apply 10 minutes before. Some you don't have to wait. Right? So make sure you know which type of spermicide and how early before quotas you have to apply them. Right? So if you immediately applied it and started having sex, it may not be working. Week 4 of your oral contraceptives. Are those actual drugs?
No.
Are they placebo? Or are they iron replacement? Or are they all three? They're all three, right? Remember, depends on the type of birth control you have. For some, there are no drugs, but they want you to keep in habit of taking a pill every day. So it might be a placebo. Others, no hormones, but it's an iron supplement. And then for some oral contraceptives, it's the same hormone throughout the whole cycle. So that 4th week, you definitely need to take them. Intrauterine device. Some complications, but depending on the ones you have, you can have them in for up to 10 years. It's pretty crazy, 10 years worth. Pregnancy, more like 10 months, right, than 9, but 9 months makes it easier to split into trimesters, right? So every 3 months. But just know it's closer to 10. Peri. Peri means around, so this is before and after. So menopause is when menstruation stops. The symptoms before that, well, you can have irregular menses, you can skip them, have really prolonged ones, so a lot of irregulars. And then before and after, because you have a drop in estrogen, you need adequate estrogen level for well-being. So because there's lower levels, then you might get depression, irritability. Some women start as early as 35. Some women, they can get pregnant and fertile up to their 50s. What was the oldest mother? I think she was like 60 something. 62 years old, she got pregnant. And
It's older now.
I think there's somebody older now. Yeah, I don't recall how old that person was. I just remember 62 in one news feed, and that stuck with me forever.
I think she was like 69.
69 now is the new record. Yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes there's not very good birth records, so she might be even like 75, for all we know.
You don't even have enough time left.
Well, was it her own, or was she carrying it for somebody? I'm not sure. That's crazy.
People with a newborn, like,
So that's it. Yeah, very, very rare. So that's a miracle baby. But the problem is a lot of damage that could occur because remember, in women, those eggs, that's it. They've been there at birth and they're collecting damage, chemical, and radiation throughout life. Increased risk of certain Down syndrome, right? Because of the DNA, they're not dividing properly anymore. So at 40, at 40, 40 plus, that's going to be a dangerous, risky pregnancy for anybody. You guys know of all of the symptoms, right? Hot flashes, night sweats, disturbances. All of it mostly is estrogen level changes. Mammograms. So you guys doing your self exams as mentioned once a month? So make sure you're doing it. Hands to the side and hands to the back, and you're feeling for firm. Okay. And then they'll do the mammograms. It used to be every year, but now every other year is effective if you're doing your self-examination, and your doctor should be doing that annual examination as well. Did you guys do the 3-day run? The The 3-day Susan Komen March for a Cure, Race for a Cure. There was a group. They were called the Hakuna Matatas. It was a whole group of women. It was pretty cute. Removal of the uterus. Now they do it laparoscopically, where they just go through a couple camera holes and incision sites. They can leave the ovaries in, or they can elect to remove them. For Angelina Jolie, did she remove her ovaries too? I'm not sure. So this is the old invasive. They have to cut through multiple layers of abdomen, skin, muscle. Nowadays it's just a couple camera holes and an incision machine. And either or, you're left with a missing uterus, hysterectomy. I'm not sure if Angelina removed her ovaries.
She had kids late.
She what?
She had kids late.
Oh, later in her life?
Yeah.
Yeah. But she removed hers because of the cancer gene. So her family had the cancer gene, which is no problem. It's just that her mom, her grandmother, her aunt actually developed cancer. So she said, the heck with this. I'm just going to preemptively remove my breast, remove my uterus. What's that?
Her breast?
Yeah, both of them before she had a hysterectomy. Yeah. So yeah, very brave, right?
So that Laura Croft outfit, she
Man,
needs to
yeah.
Puncturing of the amnion. Looking into the abdomen area. Here we have frozen surgery, cauterization, aspiration, hysterectomy. Not too bad. So that was male and female reproductive system vocab in a nutshell. Let's go on and do our assignment.